In today's episode of the Pathway Presents podcast, I got a very interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Mike Jones, who is hailing over from Ventrata. He is the marketing manager there, and over at Ventrata, they are basically an all-in-one ticketing system for very different use cases, right? That might be hop on and off tours, day tours. That might be operators in that space. Basically, all these attractions and even potentially museums that are leveraging the platform. So today, I want to really jump into how Mike is thinking about growth for Ventrata. So welcome to the show.
Thanks, Lucas, and thanks for having me.
Of course, yeah. Maybe give us a quick overview. I gave a super high level description. What is Ventrata all about in your own words?
So Ventrata is a cloud-based SaaS platform for tour operators and attractions to sell tickets, essentially. So when you go on your vacation and you want to buy a ticket for an attraction or a tour to go and see something, nice local attraction or site or something like that, we power the technology, or we are the technology behind that for some major global tour companies and operators.
Gotcha. Now, how would you describe the customers? I mean, do they have to have a certain sort of amount of size that it makes sense to start using Ventrata? Is there's employees, for example, or just like guests that are going through the attraction in a year? Like what sort of characterizes a great Ventrata customer?
So we tend to work with medium to larger enterprises. So generally we work off gross turnover is kind of our metric. A couple of million USD, say, to take that as a base currency. And upwards from there. We do have a couple of smaller customers that we've kind of would have started out with us as we were on our journey, and we still, we work with them, and we do pick up smaller customers, but it's a super competitive space. We estimate, and others in the space estimate there's maybe about 300 technologies in this space providing a similar-ish service. So we differentiate by being more at the enterprise level. So we tend to be the next stage for a lot of companies. Well, they might start off on something like a premium or a pay-as-you-go type offering. We tend to be that next level where they want to work in a couple of locations, or they're turning over a certain amount of money that they need better financial control, or they want to sell through more channels. So we tend to be in that space generally, not the grassroots startup little cycling tour business or walking tour business. We're generally in that bigger one with, like I say, looking at maybe multiple destinations to work out of a couple of different cities and things like that. And that's largely our point of difference.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, you mentioned that they're a bit larger. These organizations, like who typically in the companies would be sort of the champion for Ventrata? Like who is the one who sort of raises the flag internally? Is that like an IT officer? Is that like operations team manager? Like is it a business owner who is reaching out to you guys?
Yeah, it does vary. Like, so at the smaller size, it tends to be maybe owner. So the guys that are maybe 2 to 10 million can still be a lot of family-owned operations, family businesses, and sometimes you get like next generation coming up. We're actually speaking to a couple at the moment, a couple of different prospects. So it's actually the daughter of the owners who's saying, look, mom, dad, let's progress the tech here. We've built our own thing. It's falling down now. We're struggling to connect. Let's look at something off the shelf. Let's look at something that's going to help us scale and grow the business. So that's sometimes who we speak with. In other bigger organizations, then it's the IT manager, maybe somebody from sales or marketing, because they're struggling with data. They're possibly working across multiple systems. And one of the big advantages of working with Ventrata is we pull all of your sales channels, all of your distribution into a single dashboard, gives you a single view of the customer. And that's obviously gold for somebody who's working within the marketing or sales space within a larger tour operator. So they often come to us too.
And how would these folks learn about you guys? Like, how would you describe sort of the growth channels? How do they, what's their journey looking like of getting to know Ventrata and getting started?
A lot of it is traditional meeting people, referrals, just getting out there into the marketplace. I was lucky to come from the operator side, so I brought in with me some network, and the guys that preceded me in the team, the guys who've built the company over the past 6 years, have really built out a really fantastic network. So we're very well known, we're very well liked in the space, and certainly in the hop on, hop off world, we're extremely well known, and I would like to say well liked and respected too. That's for others to say, I suppose, but I think we are. As we move into new markets, though, into either new territories or into new verticals, it is more challenging. So the network doesn't maybe reach into that. But we're using things like trade shows. So the return to trade shows this year and in-person shows was very timely for us. So We've done a global round of shows this year. I've been out to the States on a number of occasions, a few shows around Europe. So getting in front of customers face to face, getting an opportunity to speak and do some thought leadership. Our CEO, Oliver Morgan, is very well known in the space for his work around technology standardization, a project called Octo. Ollie's one of the technology leaders on that project, so he regularly speaks on that. So that thought leadership piece really is something that we can leverage then internally to be able to speak about our brand and our values, which are to really connect the industry and simplify things like technology for tour operators.
Very good. What role would you say does the website play as a marketer? Like, how do you think about the website for their journey of getting to know Ventrata?
Yeah, it's very much, I suppose, a digital brand presence for us. So it allows people, makes us searchable, it makes us exist as a hybrid company with a couple of small offices, and then most of the workforce being remote. We don't have that bricks and mortar where somebody can come and see a sign over the door necessarily. So it gives us that presence online. Our customer base is global, so obviously it means that we're searchable around the world, and then it just shows off our product a little bit. It's something that we're probably going to rework on next year. It's very product focused at the moment. It's very much about the what we do, that side of the business. What we'd like to do, and I might be jumping ahead on questions, but what we'd like to do with the website and evolve it is tell a little bit more about our story, give a bit more of the personality of Ventrata. It's something we feel is lacking in person. That's where we're really strong. Like I say, we're well respected, well liked team, albeit a small team, but the website doesn't always portray that as well as it could. So telling our story, telling how the company has grown alongside our customers, supported them in their growth journey as well, and how customer centric we are. That's something that we want to evolve the website into. We do use some paid channels. We push some traffic towards the site. We do our work on SEO in the background. It does, of course, generate leads. Any marketer, I think, will want to generate more leads through their website, but a lot of our work is done through direct sales as well, and we have a small but growing direct sales team who are reaching out to customers all the time. But of course, the website is somewhere to point them towards then as well. So when people get a phone call or an email, they want to Google you and they want to see, is this company legit? So in some ways, a website maybe legitimizes us or gives us some credibility too.
Gotcha. Yeah, very cool. No, that gives a good overview on how you're thinking about the page. I'd like to switch gears a little bit and learn about yourself as a marketer. But there's so much content out there, right, for marketers to learn from and study with, and podcasts, and like we have here, or like books, and what do you personally like to do? Where do you personally find high quality information to expand on your marketing horizon?
I probably use some of the kind of the travel blogs and websites, so things like Skift. There's a good in-destination website called Arrival. They publish reasonably good content, so it's nice to just connect in and see what's happening in the space. In terms of kind of broader things, then always just looking around on sites. Often get actually pitched by people, to buy their products, and that can lead you down a bit of a rabbit hole of something maybe new, that a new technology, and you're like, oh, that's new. They can do that with a website now. They can find our leads. They can track this. They can do that. And that sometimes leads me into a little bit of a rabbit hole where you're finding sites and blogs and things like that to research.
Very cool. I got some rapid fire questions as we're slowly getting towards the end of the interview. Are you ready for those?
Shoot, go for it.
What is the last book that you read?
Oh, currently reading Jack Reacher's latest book. Well, Andrew Child's latest Reacher's book. I'm a big fan of that Jack Reacher series, but that's fiction. Fact, more business related. Recently re-listened to, because I tend to listen to things rather than read them. Good to Great, which is a super business book. Anybody who's not read or listened to that, highly recommend it.
Okay, very cool. What's one single thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
Scaling our team to cope with the demand.
If there would be no boundaries in tech, what's the one single thing that you would fix for your role as a marketer?
Oh, that is a great question. I'd love to be able to dive into. I actually listened back to a podcast you did the other day. I can't remember who the chap was, but the demystify some of what Google do, see some of that data. I'd love to dive into that, see where people are coming from in a little bit more detail, see what they're searching for. Very frustrating not being able to know why people are visiting us. I'd love to see that information.
Very cool. And for the very last question, I'd like to basically do a little bit of time travel. Let's go back to the days of University of Limerick, if you allow. Beautiful city, by the way.
Thank you.
Now you're heading out of education, formal education there, right? Into further in depth in the tourism industry and business. What's the one advice you would give yourself for your journey?
Listen to customers and solve their problems. I think that's been one of the biggest learnings. I think if you do that, you'll be quite successful. Marketing is largely about listening and observing. And if you get good at that, your message that you put out to people and the way in which you speak and where you speak to them will be much more impactful.
Mike, thanks a lot for being a guest on Pathway Presents. I want to give you the very last word. If somebody would be forgetting all that we discussed about Ventrata today, what's the one thing that people should remember?
If you're a growing or interested tour operator, attraction, and you want your business to be successful, come and talk to us. We're in the business of helping businesses grow. We provide technology that will enable you to do things that you probably didn't even know were possible.
Thanks a lot for being a guest on Pathway Presents.
Thank you.